all, thank you for joining us this evening to celebrate International Women's Day organized by Faculty of Public Health Sciences, James Lind Institute, Switzerland. Hi, I'm Dr. Anahita Ali, working as Associate Program Director of Public Health at James Lind Institute, and I'm more than happy to moderate this special session to celebrate International Women's Day. And today's topic is quite important, which is about women's mental health and well-being in the workplace, which is a significant issue that addresses both mental health and gender equality in the workplace. And as the world becomes more aware of the need of addressing mental health, this is important to discuss because there is a greater emphasis on how it affects women specifically in the workplace. So as a result, progressing in this area by the year 2025 is quite important for creating healthier and more inclusive workplaces. So to talk on this topic this evening, it is with great pleasure and excitement that I extend a warm welcome to our distinguished guest speaker, Joy Muhia, who has done MSc in Global Mental Health and is working as Mental Health Innovation Network Coordinator at London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine in United Kingdom. So we look forward to hearing your thoughts, Joy Muhia, on women's mental health, and we are grateful for the time and effort you have dedicated to being with us today. So I again thank everyone and I welcome all the participants. Enjoy. The stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm happy to be here. Allow me to just share my screen. And happy International Women's Day. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, as we're celebrating the International Women's Day today, this is a really important topic because over time we're realizing the need for mental health, and what better way to showcase this, especially in this target population of women on this International Women's Day, and just to showcase what are some of the things in the workplace that affect everyone. So not just women, but both men and women in the workplace. But so just to start us off, I wanted us to start with, so what is the importance of workplace mental health? And approximately 60% of the global population is working. And this is based on WHO statistics, and of which 15% of those working are estimated to have had a mental condition by 2019 when the statistics were done. And why is this important, especially in the workplace? Because when people are having challenges in the workplace, it simultaneously affects the work output. So we see that 12 billion working days are lost annually due to depression and anxiety. And this results in a loss of $1 trillion US dollars in productivity. So in as much as we see that, every day people are working, but this is important not just to us as individuals, but also to the organizations, because there is a loss of productivity which affects the outputs. And in regards to women, more than 9 in 10 women say that they have experienced some aspect or some element of mental health issues as a result of poor work-life balance. And this is according to a Bloom UK survey. So we realize that, yes, it is important. And because the workplace is where we spend almost 3/4 of our day, depending on, the different outputs that we do, or more or less half of our day. And so it is important that the one element of our lives that takes up the majority of the time, we need to ensure that we are having good conditions. So what are some of the challenges when it comes to workplace mental health? Poor working conditions, which can lead to things like burnout, lack of awareness, whereby when someone experiences a mental health condition, people don't know what to do, or there's a resulting stigma. Insufficient workplace policies supporting mental health. So whenever someone is affected, are there policies in place in the institution to guide what needs to happen? Another thing is, especially for women, underrepresentation in leadership, and I will come to explain how this results in a big challenge, because there's that diversity that is lacking. And then additionally, training of managers. So there is insufficient training for managers. And then also inadequate resources in terms of when someone experiences a mental health crisis, do they know what to do? Are there like guidelines? Are there like referral mechanisms on where one can go to seek help? And we realize that raising mental health awareness is really important for a supportive workplace culture, because we spend over 8 hours, for example, of our days in the office, and then after that we go to our homes, and depending on how your day was, that will also be reflected in the home. So you do need a conducive working environment. And additionally, as I mentioned earlier in the statistics, that one of the biggest challenges and barriers for women is the work-life balance. And in addition to that, discrimination. So what we need to do is have tailored support strategies that can be able to enhance our overall well-being. So I'll go through these challenges in depth of each, and seeing what are the gaps in each of these challenges, and how can we work together to ensure that we promote mental health. So I'll start with raising awareness and reducing stigma. And there's clearly a lack of awareness in regarding to number one, mental health, and number two, women-specific mental health challenges. And this leads to neglect and misunderstanding. And what are some of these consequences? You find that there's increased stress, there's increased discrimination, and with that, people shy away from seeking help. So they already feel like they're not appreciated, they already feel like they're being judged and that no one will understand them. So they end up just withdrawing in terms of like speaking out. And then this creates a toxic work environment. And in addition, it will lead to them not being able to have good productivity. And as I said, whatever happens in the office ultimately affects the home. And so that when you carry that into the home, we end up having,
Wait a second.
hello, you can hear me? Okay. So yes, that discrimination and harassment and work-family balance, when you're not able to have a proper balance, and then at work you feel like you can't be supported. So this leads to getting the mental health conditions such as depression, anxiety, and as you've seen, this clearly leads to loss in productivity even in the workplace. And so how can we lower the stigma and create a supportive environment? So one of the ways is we can campaign for change. So having mental health awareness related campaigns in order to promote that culture of support in the environment. And this is through creating various support spaces, that creating a space where people understand that, oh no, whenever you're encountering a challenge, please reach out. And then having that open environment for discussion, because if a problem half shared is a problem half solved. So if they're not able to talk about it, that definitely creates the issue. So we need to have that open environment where people are able to openly share their experiences without them fearing that they'll be judged. And then regular mental health check-ins. How do you check in on your colleagues? Even in the everyday office, when you meet in the morning, beyond just the how are you? Is it just oh hi, and then we get into work? But we need to have that culture of actually, checking in on our friends and our colleagues in the office. And above and beyond that, having like mental health check-ins that are like, planned, or even with when you're discussing with your line manager, this becomes something that you're able to talk about. And in addition to that, having workshops that can be able to facilitate this dialogue. Another element is workplace policies supporting mental health. So we find that there are very many organizations that do not have like comprehensive policies that uh, support mental health. And in addition to that, policies that specifically target women's mental health needs. And this definitely affects the well-being because lack of those supportive policies increased stress, lack of decreased job satisfaction, and then leads to higher absenteeism, and then also leaving work, right? And leaving work under circumstances where you don't really have someone else to go. It's just that, you can't stand that toxic work environment because you have to balance your personal needs, your workplace, with no one to talk to. So, what are some of these policies that can be implemented? So, one of them includes, especially for women, is the maternity leave policies, because this definitely help in the transition back to work. And having this in place is really helpful because we do know that leaving your newborn child to go to work is really stressful. The first few days, you'll really be wondering every moment, are they okay? Did I leave them okay? Is everything going on okay? But having policies that help, the mothers feel supported is really important. And these studies have revealed that having generous maternity leave or maternity leave policies that support women have led to low turnover rates and increased employee satisfaction. And we've seen once employees are satisfied, you definitely have high productivity, and it's a plus for the organization. So you realize it's in the organization's best interest to have this in place. Additionally, providing childcare assistance programs. So this would look very different in very different settings, but just defining what that looks like in the specific setting and culture that you're in. And this has also been shown to have improved productivity for the employees and reduction in absenteeism. So ideally, we're trying to minimize the 12 billion lost working days and the 1 trillion lost in productivity. And these are some of the things that ultimately lead to that. Also promoting work-life balance accommodations. So this, of course, look very different in very different scenarios and settings, but the aim of this is to have some element of flexibility to be able to enhance the job satisfaction. So this can go from like remote working or flexible working hours. And of course, we've seen like ever since the COVID pandemic, this has become more acceptable. So it's just a matter of working around with your organization or your colleagues or your line manager just to identify what works best. What's the best maybe return to work policy, or what is the best how can we best support you to enable you to have a proper work-life balance. And this, of course, reduces the stress levels because, we want that for the organization, they need when you're at work, you're fully, at work and concentrative and productive. And of course, when you go back at home, you need to be the mother, the sister, the wife, and the different roles. So how do we balance for them to feel supported, that they're fully, when you're at work, you're fully concentrating on work, and when you're at home, you're able to be fully at home. So this needs some of those flexible arrangements, adjusting work hours, and ultimately, it's not just good for the individual. some of these elements, even when you're discussing in the office, you have to show an element of how it is important for the organization, how it is in the organization's best interest for all the employees to feel supported. Another thing is offering mental health days. So mental health days at the same time look very different for different people and different organizations. So, for example, I know at London School we do have like set mental health days for everyone, where everyone get that set as a holiday in addition to the national holidays, whereby every employee on that day it's a mental health day. Additionally, for different organizations, it might, as I said, it might look different, but also having accommodations for, we understand that even women, for example, with PCOS, that can be a really challenging time to be in the office. So having such accommodations and not feeling shy to talk about these things because they are in the normal cycle of life. And this definitely helped reduce burnout. And the ultimate goal, which I'll keep saying over and over, is how to promote a healthy work environment. Another thing is leadership and representation. So I mentioned there is a significant underrepresentation of women in leadership. Um, Statistics show that as of 2023, women account for 41% of the workforce worldwide, and only 32.2 are in senior leadership. So why is this important? Because when you have a diverse leadership group, you have people who are able to understand the different employees' needs. So they are lacking representation of women in leadership leads to disparity in the decision making of strategies that affect women specifically, and this ultimately affects, mental health advocacy. So, whenever we're talking, we need to come up with in that boardroom where like decisions are made, and there's a strategic decision that needs to be made regarding different matters. The diverse views are important to be heard in that room. Otherwise, without that, you'll feel that there is a particular group that will feel not just underrepresented, but they will also feel like their issues are not addressed. Another thing is promoting women in leadership roles. So statistics show that men are more likely to apply for a job where they meet a lower percentage of the stated qualifications, but women feel hesitant and they want to ensure that they feel all the requirements of the opportunity. And this many times leads to missed opportunity. So women need to be encouraged to take on leadership roles. And we have a really good example whereby in Rwanda right now, from their last elections in 2018, 61% of their parliament is composed of women, and these were in elected roles. So this just goes to show that it is possible. And we have examples of a country that is in their leadership that is happening. And in doing so, other ways to encourage women to be in this leadership uh, opportunities is mentorship. There's really key importance of mentorship to just provide that guidance for someone to feel that, oh yeah, I saw a role. Maybe you need to talk to someone to encourage you or to discuss. Maybe you feel that maybe this is not for me, or how can you better improve yourself? That mentorship goes a long way. And you see, having, for example, someone who understands you and is out for your good to benefit you is also really important in feeling that security in discussing your those elements that you may not really talk about, but just having that one support person. And this is really important in even like seeking career advancements. And also it helps in boosting confidence. I know, there's women in confidence, that's one thing, we always told you need to have confidence, you need to go for it. But at times, with all the things that you have to balance, it's always just good to have that external voice telling you that, oh, yes, we know there's all this happening, but you got this. And this also integrating programs for leadership and development, peer support, they also help in, creating that additional layer. And then one other thing we need to do is celebrating the different female leaders in the workspace, which is something that, women tend to downplay their achievements. And so, celebrating someone for the different, however minor the achievements are, it's still an achievement. But just having someone feeling celebrated helps them reinforce this culture of appreciation, respect, and ultimately a supportive working atmosphere. Additionally, we need to have training, education, and resources. And the lack of training, especially for managers regarding mental health, can lead to lack of awareness and ineffective support for employees. So there's need for training for all in the workplace for them to understand how do the different mental health issues in the workplace present themselves. How can we identify how they present themselves so that we're able to identify early signs, even in our colleagues, for us to better help them and intervene and support. And then also, when we overlook these mental health elements, it ultimately leads to the decreased productivity, high turnover. So I'm just trying to emphasize that whenever we are promoting mental health in the workplace, it's not just for the individuals, but it is also in the organization's best interest. So it is a win-win for everyone. So in introducing training programs which are comprehensive and cover various elements. Of course, we know that in the workplace we need to constantly improve ourselves. And in these training programs, I think there needs to be additional training programs with a focus on mental health, in addition to, communication skills. How do, colleagues interact with each other? And this helps, when once you're able to better communicate with one another, it promotes that culture of understanding. It promotes mental health literacy, and statistics say 1 in 4 are affected by a mental health condition. So it's not just for just in the workplace. It could also, having this information would be beneficial for even you interacting with your family and your friends, because anyone mental health challenges, can knock on anyone's door. It's not something that, we choose, but they're all manageable. So it is how to best knowing what they are, what are the early signs, how can I develop the different coping strategies? And once I develop the different coping strategies, how can I support someone who I know who is undergoing through a hard time? And this ultimately assists or helps us in our 360 life, right? So not just in the office, but with friends, with family. So it's an all inclusive. And then also having mental health champions in the workplace. So having maybe specific people who, as part of their role of, or like part of their citizenship role, is to assist or champion mental health. And this helps even with ensuring that despite everything that is happening, because in the workplace, we'll have tight deadlines, we'll have really peak seasons and even in low seasons, but ensuring that throughout, there is someone reminding us that, oh, we need to take care of our mental health. That once in a while, you need to be reminded, oh, are you taking a break? Even when you have those really tight deadlines, are you sleeping enough? Because lack of sleep is one of the biggest challenges, whereby people maybe have a tight deadline, you have to work throughout the night to reach the goal. But at the end of the day, good sleep is important for your mental health. Exercising is important for your mental health. So it is all this, it's the everyday things that we do that at times we do need reminders of, because there are moments where we know what we need to do, but we don't do them because the situations around us there's a stress of, oh, I have to get everything and finish everything at maybe a particular time, but knowing that, oh, at times you just need to be reminded, oh, wait, take a step back and, breathe. And, oh, have you done this today? Have you even eaten? Because many a times we miss meals, not just because of the lack of, but because maybe we have to, lunchtime is taken by meetings. So having that mental health champion helps us. There's that a surety that someone will remind us that, oh, are we taking care of our mental health? And then also having that peer support, and also promoting the discussions of mental health, because this is a topic that is often not talked about. So we'll talk about everything, laugh, but at the end of the day, someone is struggling, but they don't know how to start the conversation. And because no one is talking about it, they won't start the conversation. So eventually, when we see, for example, we lost a colleague to suicide, you're like, oh no, but they were the happiest, they never mentioned anything, we didn't know. But simply because at times we really don't talk about these things. So how can we create an environment that is safe enough for us to begin these conversations around mental health? At times, work is stressful for everyone, but how do we end up having those conversations of, oh, today I'm not okay because of one, two, three. And with me sharing, it's not just sharing, but how can I be supported? Or if there is, for example, specific policy or program or even access, maybe there are psychologists in the institution, you can be able to walk up to their door and not feel that everyone will look at you like, oh, this person went into the mental health, counselor's office. But you can actually walk in with no fear of judgment and actually mention that, oh yeah, today I'm not doing very well, and this is okay, right? And then in addition to that, we need to have continuous learning and development. So not just for our skills that are needed to develop our careers, but also, actively learning about even mental health best practices and having a proactive approach. And in line with having different, continuous development and learning, there's also a need for access to resources and support systems. And so in the institution, is there an availability or access to mental health services whenever someone is in a mental health crisis? Do they know what to do, where to go, where to get this information? Do the line managers know what to do if the person they're managing is having a hard time? Are there resources that they could be directed to that could be helpful to them? And we see that whenever there's no resources, or when people don't know what to do when they're in a mental health crisis, they simply just won't show up to work because they just don't feel they have the capacity to be able to handle the day or to be able to handle what is needed. And of course, this affects the employee productivity. So whenever there needs to be a system or structure whereby anyone who undergoes a hard time knows what to do. We know, like, for example, in an institution for students, they're like student support services, but we need to have the same for in a workplace whereby when one feels overwhelmed, even stressed, what can you do? And this look very different to very different people. There are those that do have the in-house, maybe psychologist office. There are those who have partnered with different health centers to ensure that, and even in as simple as in the different insurances, do they cover mental health? So of course, this will differ in different countries because each country has different policies on the same, but the organizations should ensure there is some guidance on what one can do whenever they are experiencing a mental health crisis. Additionally, not everyone would be open to just talking about their mental health, but there being anonymous ways that one can confide, or be it a hotline that is available that one can talk, because not everyone is comfortable enough to walk up to the psychologist's office and say how they are feeling. But that anonymous level where there is maybe be it a hotline, and even with anonymity, there needs to be a referral pathway whereby they know where to seek support. It really helps as a first step in someone speaking out. And then also peer support groups within the office, among colleagues, among, friends, colleagues who, when you're with someone every single day, at some point you'll have to talk about, life. And it is in talking about life that, we always exclude the mental health element of it. So uh, for starters, for everyone. So how can you create a safe space for your colleague in your office? And then even for women, how can they have a safe space to share their different experiences that they are going through at the different stages? And then in addition to this, you'll be able to learn coping strategies, because one may share that, oh, for this situation, this is where I sought help, it might even be a recommendation of a daycare that they're using. And that would help alleviate one challenge, right? So learning from each other how different people are managing the different aspects of life is really important. And then fostering that sense of community. And so basically, in short, addressing mental health needs in the workplace, not just for women, but for all, fosters a healthy and holistic environment. And this is beneficial not just to you as an individual, but also to the organization, because many a times organizations will not see how this is important, but even in presenting or inquiring about the different policies, you need to, in organizational language, find a way to show them that it's not just for my benefit, but it's for their benefit as well. Because no company organization likes the high turnover, because you have to train the people, it takes too long, projects are stalled. So how can we, the organization supports me, and in supporting me, I am at my best in terms of work productivity. And that way there's higher outputs, profits, however you want to put it. And with that, I will say thank you very much and hand over back to Anna Hita.
Thank you, Joy. That was a really insightful and very interesting presentation. Um, so moving forward, I would ask our audience or invite someone from the audience to share their coping mechanism. Coping up from mental health issues is equally important. This is what I feel, because we cannot control those mental health issues that one may develop, but how do you cope up is very important. So anyone from our participants or audience who would like to share how do they cope up from mental health issues or any challenges they face in their everyday lives? Anyone from the audience, please feel free to share your thoughts.
Hi, my name is Dr. Adel Khiyami. I'll be sharing an experience in my workplace. I work in a center for oral health. For the women, we have a maternity holiday, maternity holiday, and after the end of the maternity holiday, there will be difficult for the women to bring their little child back to work. They do together, all the women's together, all the women in the workplace, something like a gardery in the workplace. We have an extra room, gardery for the little kids, and one or two women take care of the little child to make the other women feel free to work and feel free that their children are protected and in a safe place for 1 year. But I felt that it is for a workplace that doesn't have this kind of facilities. It's helpful. That's an experience in my workplace. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I do know there is an organization that there was a constant women would either leave work early or there's constant absenteeism. And one of the things they implemented was creating like a nursery in one of the floors. They created a floor, or they moved things around and created a nursery. And in having that nursery, because now the parents, they felt like their children were safe, and they're in a safe place. During lunchtime they can go see them, but they know they're doing well, and then go back to the office. And there was a really transformative change in the workplace, whereby people were able to, those high productivity, more people would come to work and feel like they're at peace. And even when they're at work, they're concentrating, because there's one thing to be at work, but when you're busy thinking that, oh, your child is at home, or the nanny has to leave at a certain time, you're there, but you're really not there. You might be looking at the screen, but you're really not working per se. If someone passes, they'll just assume that you're working because you're looking at a screen, and maybe you're at the laptop, or your hand is at the mouse, but you're really not working. And so I agree with what you've said. That really helps to ensure that, when they're in the office, they're really present, which is really important.
Yes, that's really true. One of our participants shared that mindfulness techniques and getting in touch with nature. So basically, nature therapy is quite effective to cope up with the mental health issues. So that is true. And Joy, I would request you to just share a few more coping mechanisms, a few techniques that our participants can practice within their workplaces, or maybe within their homes, to cope up with such daily life stress, which is quite normal, which is quite common. So how can they cope up effectively? At the same time, it should be effective. It should be helpful for them. So what do you think?
Yes. So I'll start with definitely some of what has been mentioned. Relaxation techniques. It's as simple as deep breathing, taking 5 minutes to take deep breaths in and out. It helps to, ground you back to, okay, calm down. Yes, everything is going on, but it helps you to calm down, bring you back to the moment, and as well as mindfulness. So even some organizations have gone to a level whereby they either provide maybe yoga classes after work, or even at lunchtime, maybe, yoga classes, or some sort of exercises, or a gym, or access to a gym, because exercises are also really important for our mental health. Additionally, taking breaks. Yes, at times with the workplace culture, depending on where you're working, we are used to a culture of you'll sit down the whole day. And, you'll realize that you cannot put aside physical health and put mental health separately. They're all linked. So you need to ensure that the same way you're taking care of your physical health, you need to take care of your mental health. So taking short breaks to clear your mind and improve your focus. And even if you, for example, there are those people who work through lunch. Even if you're working through lunch, or maybe it's even a fasting period, like now for Ramadan, it helps to, even at lunchtime, you may not be eating, but take a walk, take a short walk, and then come back. You realize that your focus, you'll be able to have a better focus. And then time management. You realize that in mental health, it's all about, it's a simple everyday task. It doesn't have to be something big or out of this world. It's in the everyday simple tasks that you do that help improve your overall well-being. And then also boundaries and expectations. So maybe today, putting out clearly what are the tasks I'm able to achieve today, and then sticking to that. Because at times we may put unrealistic expectations of what we need to accomplish by the end of the day. And with that, you find that you are upset with yourself. Maybe you overpromised, and then it ends up you under delivering. So setting clear expectations, maybe from the beginning of the day. These are my tasks. This is what I can do, and then sticking to that. It helps you even in breaking down the tasks into smaller, accomplishable outputs, and it helps. It goes a long way in ticking something that you've done, even if in a long day you may have many things that are happening in your work day, but feeling that you've ticked off something off your list goes a long way, in the sense of you'll come back and look at, maybe at the end of the day, you'll be able to gauge what have you accomplished, what have you not. So it can be as simple as I responded to this number of emails, or I wrote up maybe one output or proposal that was needed, or submitted something that had a deadline. And then also additionally, nutrition. You need to, healthy nutrition, because your body, as you're working, you're using energy, and this energy you need to replenish it by the food we're eating. So nutrition, staying hydrated. Other things are sleeping well. I know we have, depending on what we are working on, we may not have like standard sleep cycles, of course, but sleep is really important for your mental health, because one of the early signs of mental health conditions is a lack of sleep, and over time it bundles up, and and like, when lack of sleep for over 48 hours, clearly there's an issue, right? And so one of the first steps, or one of the first signs that people can identify is lack of sleep. And that's something that at times you need to like stop yourself in your tracks, whereby, yes, I know I have very many things to do. There's deadlines, and at work and at home, there's all these things I need to do, but you need to have at least 5 hours of sleep. Well, the standard is 8 hours, but just, those moments where, things get crazy, ensure you at least, get 5 hours of sleep. It is important, because also when lack of sleep leads to, and you're constantly overworking, it leads to burnout. Other techniques include, you can be able to have, what are they called? They're called like subdividing the different elements of your day, to like subdividing your day into like achievable outputs, in the sense of having like, this is what I need to do for work, but in addition to work, have I maybe walked or maybe done my 10,000 steps, for because walking is important. Like, are you having a balance in the sense of, yes, in my day I need to do I need to have to accomplish, let's say, a certain output, right? But in doing so, have I also taken care of my physical health? Because as I mentioned, there's no health without mental health, but you cannot separate your mental health from your physical health. So taking care of your physical health does help with mental health. taking care of your mental health. And other things could be planning maybe a hike or a trip with your colleagues, maybe over the weekend, or even having the away days. They go a long way in helping everyone in the maybe in the department or in the organization, brings the grounding and the connectivity amongst your colleagues. So having an away day with your colleagues, because in the away day, you'll not just discuss strategies, but you'll have some maybe team building exercises in that, and that is really helpful to also build that trust amongst your colleagues, and help create that environment whereby you feel you can actually go to your colleague when you're having a specific issue. And then, of course, equipping yourself with the knowledge on some of these things. There's lots of resources when it comes to mental health, but just staying updated on some of these things that you need to do is really important. And I will also put a link to some of the available mental health resources that one can look at in terms of like workplace mental health.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on this. As you correctly mentioned, nutrition is important, right? And one of our participants just wrote that eating balanced diet is also important. That's true. So, what are your thoughts on, mood boosting food items for mental health, especially for women? We do have food items that may act as mood boosters. Maybe they may have a temporary effect, but uh, what do you think? Can such food items actually help people and women to manage their mood swings and poor mental health?
Yes, indeed. And I'll start with the easy ones, fruits. So different fruits, definitely, fruits in general are very healthy. And you find that different fruits contain different vitamins, and especially for women at different stages, especially in our hormonal cycle, we do need specific, vitamins or minerals to go through the different phases. So you'll find something as easy as like berries from like strawberries, which contain antioxidants. They help regulate mood by supporting brain function. Things like bananas help with serotonin production, and they provide quick energy to keep your mood stable. So it's in such simple things. Additionally, having fish omega-3 is always, it's even been made into supplements, right? Fish definitely is known to support brain health and reduce mood swings. Fruits and nuts and seeds have healthy fats and magnesium, which help stabilize blood sugar levels, especially, and of course the mood crashes, especially at the different bit luteal stage of our hormonal cycle. Vegetables, you can never go wrong with vegetables, of course. And yes, I'm sure the nutritionists who this is the specific area, so they might have better answers. But yeah, vegetables, you can never go wrong with vegetables. And of proteins, eggs are really is helpful, especially for women, with the dopamine production, boosting motivation. Basically, the balanced diet, carbohydrates, proteins, vegetables, and fruits. Need all of them.
That's true. That's true. Thank you so much. So, moving towards closing this session now, I would like to invite our Director of Academics, Dr. Suhail Syed, for sharing his thoughts and closing this session on a memorable note. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm muted. Thank you so much, Dr. Anita, for organizing this wonderful session. And I really appreciate and I thank Ms. Joy Mohia to be here with us briefly to discuss about the multifaceted topic of women's health, especially mental health, on the World Women's Health or Women's Mental Health Day, rather. I really would like to say Happy Women's Day to all the wonderful women who are on the call and everybody, and also to the men who are on the call, because we also need to understand the mental health issues of both the genders and at the workplace. I would say that it's a responsibility of the managers to identify the subtle issues which may be with the team members. And these days the teams have transformed into not only on-site teams but online teams as well. So we should be able to, as managers at different levels of the organization, with teams comprised of people from different generations, women from different generations. They may be Generation X, Alpha, Z, whatever. These are newer terms. And they have definite characteristics. So we should be able to identify the subtle signs and symptoms which may give us, some feeling that somebody is having a change in behavior. There may be a decrease in productivity in the teams. Somebody may be showing much more severe signs and symptoms of, say, burnout. So all those are important, and I thank Ms. Joy Mohia for highlighting almost everything we need to know today and we need to implement in our day-to-day practice. I thank everybody for attending this important session, and thank you so much, Ms. Mohia. We will be in touch with you for a lot of questions which may be coming after the session, and let's connect someday again together. Thank you so much, and everybody have a wonderful evening.
Thank you for
Thank you,
having
sir.
me.
Thank you.